approaching to the last session at LTA. Let's show our warmest welcome to Mr. YangSoo Yoon. He is a platform developer and has worked at an AI startup. His topic today is simplifying Python web app operations. YangSoo, please.
Thank you. I am no longer working at a startup. I'm working for Canonical. Yeah, just out of curiosity, how many of you have used Ubuntu before? I got you guys something.
Oh, great.
So today I'm going to be talking about different methods in which you can deploy your Flask applications. So I'll show you different methods like charts, Helm charts or other things, but mainly focusing around the toolings that we've been building around Ubuntu ecosystems. So let's get started. So today's agenda is we're going to talk about different components of the Flask application, and then I'll give you a small demo of the Flask app. It's just going to be a hello world, and then we will find out how it looks to deploy with Helm charts or using Fly.io. It's just a third-party service that I found. Actually, my manager found. And we will end it with the ecosystem that we've been building called Juju. So it's really a powerful tool where you can kind of orchestrate the data centers. You can bootstrap data centers as well with Juju, but we will mainly be focusing on the application aspect of Juju. And then we'll conclude with covering all the different methods that you can deploy your Flask application. So if you have like a Flask application, which is pretty common because it's fast to deploy, develop and deploy, right? And you want to run it in production K8s environment, what are some of the options? Well, you have Helm charts, or platform as a service like Fly.io, or you can use Juju, which is like an operations tooling around data centers and applications. So this is my application. So at the core of what we want to do, we have the application, which is going to be a Flask application, but we also support different frameworks like Django, or we're about to support Node.js and Go framework as well. So yeah, we have that core. And then when we do deploy it into a production K8s environment, we usually will wrap it, deploy it within a container, so a OCI compliant image. And then you need K8s environment, which is the container runtime and orchestration platform. And we will need physical machines, and we have toolings for all of these. So let's take a look. So this is the very difficult tasks that we're going to perform. So if we were to deploy this using, if we were to make the image using Docker, I saw there was a Docker speaker, so I'm not really bashing on anyone, but yeah, this is how you would do it, and this is at the top Google result that you would get when you search how to deploy a Flask app using Docker. There are a lot of problems with it. There are security vulnerabilities, and this would use older versions of Python, and this is not up to date, right? And also this, if you're not using the slim images, it can be bloated. You have multiple artifacts that you don't want around, and if you have toolings that you don't want in your container images, it impacts your attack surface. So really, you could do better than that, which is something like Docker build stages. So you have multi-stage builds with Docker, but we have a better tooling. So we have a better tooling that is compliant with OCI, so Open Container Initiatives. So it's a project by a Linux Foundation, and the specification of OCI images are on the runtime, the image specification, and the distribution specification. So these are one of the most popular tools that we use to build images and distribute your images. But we have something better. It's not really better, but we have something cool. So it's called Rawcraft. So Rawcraft uses LXD. It's a virtual machine or a container runtime that you can manage. And it will use that as like a root, change root on steroids. to build images. So the paradigm behind this is that you essentially drive people to think with multi-stage artifacts while you're building it, rather than build things in your Docker and forget to clean them up. We will see those in the examples later on, but this is super simple command to initialize your Flask framework Docker container images. So why is it called Rockcraft? Weird name, but essentially you have a big giant piece of rock that you're starting with, in which you want to build your applications around. This is a fat container with useless toolings around that you really don't want inside. These are security risks, security vulnerabilities that you will be finding, and then your GitHub vulnerability alerts will go crazy over these. So Rockcraft will take that and make it into a chiseled, beautiful work of art, which is a Flask application. But yeah, so let's see how that works in action. So in the requirements, we just have Flask, and that's our application, as you can see. Really nothing much, and we just test the application, that it's running. We can curl against it, and hello world. Let's kill it. Nice. So this is the tool. You can install it. If you're using Ubuntu, you can just do snap install Rockcraft, and then it will fetch the version of Rockcraft that is in the latest stable version. And then you do Rockcraft init with profile Flask framework. If you're using things like Django framework, you can also do that. This is the YAML that it will automatically generate for you. So one point in your career, you all become YAML engineers. So you can feel free to read through it. Just do Rockcraft init, and then it will get you there. And then Docker build is the same command, but it's using Rockcraft pack. So it will build everything, and then once you define what things you want for your staging, and then you commit that into your final image, and then it will produce the .rock artifact that you can upload it to your container runtime. So we will do that using Scopio. So we just uploaded that to our local Docker daemon, and there you go, magic. And if you look at that, we're gonna run that, map the ports to 8,000, and if we curl it, there you go, we got the hello world. Cool. And if we were to deploy that image using Helm charts on Kubernetes, this is how the process would look like. So you create a namespace just to create like a logical separation, and you enable ingress through micro-K8s. Micro-K8s is one of the easiest way to bootstrap your Kubernetes. It also supports clustering as well. You just do sudo snap install micro-K8s, and there you go. You don't need your Kubernetes certificate anymore. Yeah, we just uploaded that to our local image repository on micro-K8s, so that we can continue using that. And here's our chart YAML values. Really nothing simple, just really everything's just simple, just metadata describing the application. And here are our values that we want to map to our templates. And this is the template. I really don't like looking at Helm charts because it's ugly. And this is the service template. So we essentially create all the Kubernetes definitions, but in a templated manner using Helm. And that's our ingress, so that we can access the applications using host names. So we'll install Helm using micro-K8s. All of these toolings come packaged with a single command snap install micro K8s. And there you go. We have a hello world application deployed using Helm charts. Nice. How about using like a third-party service? It's not an ad, so we'll kind of skip through. You'll need to install their tooling. Just configure your terminal. And you would most likely need to log in, register to your services, and wait for the session, authorize. Oh, detected a flask ad. Yeah. And you have Tamil engineers now. And this is the Docker file that we're going to use for fly.io service. And we built the Docker image. And if you curl that address, you get the application deployed as well. Not too bad, honestly. And then we will just clean it up. Cool. How about using Juju? So before I really dig into how we would do deployments with Juju, I'll kind of try my best at explaining what Juju is. So Juju can bootstrap your infrastructure, like your data centers, but also it can deploy applications. Those applications include Kubernetes, so you kind of have like inception of application. You deploy Kubernetes on your bare metal servers or your infrastructure, and then you deploy Kubernetes or other infrastructures. You can also, if you want to have your own cloud, you can just deploy OpenStack on it, and then yeah, it's easy to operate your data centers right now. Our dream is to kind of let everyone build their own cloud and manage it. Sorry, AWS. But yeah, and the cool thing about the future of open source is that applications are already built, and there are amazing developers that have the context awareness, that have really built everything. The thing that we're missing here are the integrations, the relationship between applications, and that's what Juju encapsulates. So we have what's called relations. So as you can see, we have Kubernetes clustered control planes, Flannel, Ceph, and etcd, and all of these, right? So the relation is managed by Juju. Will generate some values, default values that are sensible, and then we'll deploy them for you automatically. So if we looks like a lot, but not really. So what Juju does is applications in Juju are called charms. So you will install Charmcraft, which is like another craft tool for like a Rockcraft, but now we have Charmcraft for packaging your applications. We'll initialize the project using the Flask framework, and then we'll just pack it. Adding the model is like separation of logical space, so it will create a namespace in your Kubernetes cluster. And then when you do the Charmcraft pack, it will generate the .charm artifact, which is essentially just a code in a zip archive. And then we can deploy that with the resource pointing towards the container that we've built and uploaded to our registry. And we can, the Flask framework that we've built are very flexible. I mentioned the integrations, right? The integrations are very flexible. You have all these observability tools that you can integrate with. So you can deploy Prometheus, Grafana, Loki, and then just integrate them to Flask framework, and voila, you have observability into your whole app. And you can also relate this with PostgreSQL or other kind of databases like MongoDB. All are embedded for you. It's a pretty opinionated solutions. But yeah, also Juju not only works with K8s, but also it can do a lot with VMs. So even if you have like an OpenStack cluster or an AWS cluster, you can also integrate Juju into that. Yeah, so if you don't want to deploy your databases in containers because of obvious reasons, you can deploy it in a VM and makes your ops people lives a lot easier. You just take a snapshot, there you go, you have a backup. Yeah, so let's look at how that would look when we do it with Juju. I don't have time, I don't think, so I'm gonna just run through it. So as you can see, we're gonna just, the database connection string is provided as an environment variable, and we can do a lot with that. Also, you can have migration scripts, so whenever you need to upgrade your applications, you just do Juju refresh and then your application charm, and then it will run through the migration script and then apply the upgrades to your applications for you. And that's your rock that it has generated for you. We'll pack that, upload it, and this is the charm graph part. So this is really cool. Like you have all these relations that you can just pick up and use. So if you want to use PostgreSQL, MySQL, Mongo, Redis, and all of these, you just have it in the YAML. You just uncomment it, and then you would be able to start using them via reading the environment variables that are provided. So we got this charm zip archive. We add the model to create a logical separation, deploy the flask app, deploy PostgreSQL, and integrate those two apps. So these Juju underneath will provide the connection strings to the applications from the PostgreSQL charm. So it's really nice because you separate your application logic with your ops logic, and then you have a very clear separation of dev and ops, so it makes maintaining a lot easier. So there you go, all active and nice green, and you have all the relations that you have created. And if you curl, yeah, 0 with zeros makes sense. Yeah, if you curl that, hello world, nice. All right, so the conclusion is that we've learned to build OCI images with the tooling that we provide. We've kind of saw how things work with different methods that you deploy your applications with. So Helm, Charts, Fly.io, third-party services, or with Juju, which is all part of the ecosystem that Canonical is building. And just to prove that I'm not lying about the observability, is that all visible? I kind of deployed things before. So you have Grafana case. Demo is my Flask application. And you have low-key ingress integrator as well, so you can specify the routes in which your things are accessible. Prometheus case as well, so you've got Prometheus collecting data from your application. So if we could do like show unit and Grafana case, no, it's the Prometheus. For example, Prometheus. Yep, so these are the relation data that's being passed around between applications. So you have the application to scrape metadata, where you can scrape the metrics, and what it requires to maybe have Grafana dashboards or low-key endpoint. So let's curl our pod. We've seen it getting curled with that demo, but we're gonna try to curl the pod for Grafana so that we have a nice UI. Curl that. Ooh. What? Demo God, please help. Oh, because, yeah. So there you go, login found, nice UI. Better UI. Let me just forward my DNS. 5 minutes left. I just forwarded my DNS and then I configured my Grafana demo on grafana.demo.com on that IP address that we just found. And then let's do that. And we have a beautiful Grafana loading so that we can look at our logs if the internet would let me. Also, we support, like, while it's loading, we support different architectures like ARM64. RISC-V is underway, good news. We are supporting PPC64L soon, as well as S390X. So this is actually what you're gonna see when you first deploy it and you don't know the password. Oh no, guess what? Juju run Grafana K8s get admin password. Gives you all of that. You just copy paste like all the engineers do. And if you go to your Loki, because we just integrated that, right? Loki K8s. Do I want Loki K8s? No. No, actually I do. Query. You have all the logs coming from Loki, and if you integrate the demo app, you will see the demo application here, and then you will see the logs from the demo application. That's it for what I wanted to show today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Yes?
Were you going to also demonstrate Pulumi?
Oh yeah. Can I do it in 5 minutes?
Yes.
No. No, maybe next time. But everybody knows how to use Pulumi. I think, yeah, they have a good documentation, so you can do that. But it's like Helm charts or Terraform, so you can manage your infrastructure using Pulumi and Terraform as well. Juju also supports Terraform, so if you have model definitions, application definitions, you just do Terraform deploy so that you can have infrastructure as code and then do everything via GitOps automation, and that's how Canonical internally manages those. Yes.
Will Juju support Pulumi providers also, or just Terraform?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
I think
but Pulumi's cool, so.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'll tell the Terraform guys that Pulumi is better.
They know.
Yeah, probably they do. Yeah. Any other questions? So just to show you what's available, this is my latest project. So Canonical, because we have to build Ubuntu for different architectures like ARM64, PPC64L, S390X, and all of those. We want to migrate things to GitHub Runner. So if you want to have self-hosted GitHub Runner, so that you don't have to wait for all these GitHub Runners to become available for your workflow, you can deploy that using Juju, and then you will be able to just run your workflows right away. These are using VMs because containers can't be limited when you're trying to access kernel workflow. So yeah, and then you have, if you go to charmhub.io, you have all these cool free applications at your hand. So you can just Juju deploy whatever you want. Thank you.